All right, let's talk about something that I know we have all been through. It's late, you are completely wiped, you crawl into bed, and just as you're about to drift off, your brain decides, nope, party time. Well, in this explainer, we're going to get into the science of how to shut that party down.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? That little monkey in your brain fires up the projector and starts showing your greatest hits of awkward moments. And once that cringe fest is over, what's the next move? For pretty much all of us, it's reaching for the phone to doom scroll. For, the next 2 hours.
And this, right here, is the trap. We get stuck in this awful loop. You either lie there and fight off a wave of anxious thoughts, or you numb your brain with endless videos until you finally, mercifully pass out. And spoiler alert, neither of those is going to have you waking up feeling great. But listen, here is the most important thing I'm going to tell you today. If you're struggling with this, you are not broken. This isn't some deep personal failing. It is, quite simply, a skill issue. Yeah, think of it like you're a level 0 sleeper. And the great thing about skills? They can be learned. Today, we're going to level you up. To do that, we've got to understand what's happening under the hood, biologically speaking. So let's geek out a little on the science of your body's internal clock, because it's this amazing, ancient system that modern life has just completely thrown out of whack. So the star of the show is your circadian rhythm. I know it sounds like a fancy science term, but basically it's just a 24-hour master clock deep inside you that's always running. Its whole job is to tell you when to feel sleepy and when to feel awake. It's the reason you're not a bat.
So how does this clock actually work? Well, it's pretty simple, really. It all kicks off with light. When light, or, a lack of it, hits your eyes, that signal zips to a tiny part of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Don't worry about the name, just think of it as mission control. And based on that light signal, it tells your entire body, okay, team, time to wake up. Or, all right, let's shut it down for the night. Now, when this clock gets messed up, and things like late night scrolling and weird schedules are really good at messing it up, the consequences are actually huge. We're not just talking about feeling a bit tired. We're talking about brain fog, a terrible memory, your hormones going haywire, and of course, just plain bad sleep. So how do we start to fix it? Habit number 1 is the absolute foundation of everything. Your internal clock craves consistency. So going to bed and waking up at the same time every single day, yes, even on weekends, is crucial. And then get some sunlight in your eyes first thing in the morning. That morning light is like hitting a giant reset button that anchors your whole rhythm for the day. Okay, once you're working on that routine, the next big thing to tackle is your environment. It plays a massive role, and the two biggest signals your brain pays attention to are light and heat. And the best part? You can control both of them. Now, here's a wild fact for you. To actually fall asleep, your core body temperature needs to drop by about 1 degree Celsius. So if your room is too hot, your body is literally fighting to stay awake because it can't cool down properly. So what can you do? Well, a lot of simple things, actually. Crack a window, maybe kick off one of the blankets, or just stick your hands and feet out. They're like little radiators. And that hot shower trick? It's genius. It sounds weird, but the hot water brings blood to your skin. And when you get out, it allows your core temperature to plummet much faster. Now, the other half of that environmental puzzle is light, or more specifically, darkness. About an hour before you plan to go to bed, start dimming all the lights in your house. This is a huge signal to your brain that it's time to start releasing melatonin, which is basically the go-to-sleep-now hormone. All right, time to talk about the two biggest villains of modern sleep: our screens and our caffeine. These are the habits that we really have to wrestle into submission. I mean, just look at the difference here. On one side, you've got the dopamine trap of scrolling, tiny video after tiny video jacking up your brain with hits of stimulation and blasting your eyeballs with blue light. You end up anxious and overstimulated. Compare that to a wind-down activity, like an audiobook. There's no blue light, and your brain gets to just relax and follow a story. It's a totally different universe for your brain. Now look, quitting your phone cold turkey is it's not realistic for most of us. A much smarter way to do it is to replace the habit slowly. So instead of super short-form videos tonight, maybe watch a longer YouTube video. Next week, maybe try switching from YouTube to a full movie. And then eventually, you can transition to something with no screen at all, like a podcast. It's a step-down plan that can actually stick. And if you need some help, here's a pro tip. Use technology to fight technology.
Pretty much every phone has a downtime feature. Set it up to block all those tempting apps an hour or two before bed. But here's the real pro move. Have a friend or your partner set the password for you. That way you can't just ignore it when your willpower is low.
And finally, let's talk about our good friend, caffeine. The thing you have to remember is that caffeine has a really long half-life, meaning it sticks around in your system for hours and hours. That 4 p.m. coffee you had? Yeah, a good chunk of that is still having a party in your brain at midnight. So, give yourself a simple, hard rule. Absolutely no caffeine after 2 p.m. So you might be thinking, okay, that's a lot, but what's the payoff? What actually happens when you start working with your biology instead of constantly fighting against it? Well, the result is nothing short of amazing. So here it is. This is your toolkit. A consistent routine to set your clock. A cool room to drop your temperature. Dim lights to bring on the melatonin. A smart screen step-down plan. And a caffeine curfew. 5 simple but incredibly powerful habits. And after a few weeks of this, you're going to have that morning. You'll wake up a few minutes before your alarm, not feeling groggy or miserable, but feeling incredible. You'll feel alive, energized, and as the source material so perfectly puts it, full of beans. That feeling is what we're aiming for, and it is 100% achievable. So I'll leave you with this question. Don't try to change all 5 things at once. That's a recipe for failure. Just pick one. Out of everything we talked about, what's the one thing you're going to try to change starting tonight?